When most people glance at a penny, they see only 1 cent, the smallest denomination in American currency, often overlooked or left behind on counters. But coin collectors know better, and they understand that sometimes a single cent can be worth a fortune. Among these fascinating pieces lies the 1989 D. Lincoln 1 cent error coin, a coin that on the surface looks common, but has shocked the world of numismatics by fetching extraordinary sums in repeated auctions, climbing as high as nearly $200,000. To truly appreciate why this coin became so legendary, we need to take a step back and look at the history that brought it into existence. The Lincoln cent, first minted in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was revolutionary in its design. It was the first regularly circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. Victor David Brenner, the designer, created a bold yet simple portrait of Lincoln in profile facing right, a design that remains iconic over a century later. By the time 1989 came around, the Lincoln cent had long since become a staple of American coinage, familiar to every generation. But subtle changes in minting and occasional errors gave new life to collectors' interest. The obverse of the 1989 D cent shows Abraham Lincoln's dignified portrait. Around his head are the inscriptions "In God We Trust" across the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date, 1989, to the right, accompanied by the small d mint mark indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse, we find the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse design features the stately monument in Washington, D.C., complete with visible columns and even a tiny depiction of Lincoln's statue between them. The inscriptions "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent frame the image, reminding anyone who holds it of its national significance that, in most cases, this coin would have been completely ordinary. Billions were minted in Denver that year, and most slipped into circulation without a second thought. Yet among this sea of copper-plated zinc cents, a small handful emerged with mistakes that would change their fate forever. Minting errors can occur for many reasons, from mechanical misalignment to die wear, and when these rare flaws survive quality control, they produce coins unlike any others. The 1989 D. Lincoln cent is one such example, where errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or even clipped planchets created coins that stand apart from the billions of normal pieces. Collectors prize these error coins not only for their rarity, but also for the way they showcase the unexpected in minting. On some examples of the 1989 D, inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear doubled, almost as if the coin carries a faint echo of its own design. On others, Lincoln's portrait is shifted slightly due to misaligned dies, giving the obverse an unusual and unmistakable appearance. Off-center strikes, where part of the coin is left blank, also exist and are highly sought after. Each error tells its own story, a testament to the quirks of the minting process and the chance events that create such anomalies. The discovery of these coins began to generate buzz among collectors, and soon, their appearances in auctions became events of great anticipation. At first, they were seen as curiosities, fetching impressive but modest sums. But as more people began to realize just how few had survived in pristine condition, demand surged. Auctioneers knew they had something special, and catalogs began to highlight the dramatic errors, crisp condition, and gleaming surfaces of these coins. Each sale was marked by bidding wars, as passionate collectors drove prices higher than anyone initially expected. The repeated presence of the 1989 D cent error in auctions has only solidified its reputation. Again and again, examples have crossed the block, and each time the story repeats itself. Astonishment at the rarity, fierce competition among bidders, and final hammer prices that leave both seasoned dealers and new collectors amazed. It is not uncommon for the same coin to appear in multiple auctions over the years, each time commanding a higher price as its legend grows. The auction scene thrives on drama, and the 1989 D. Lincoln error has delivered it in abundance. Part of what makes these coins so valuable is their condition. Collectors use a grading system to evaluate coins, and those graded at the top, mint state with high numerical designations, are the true stars. In such states, every line of Lincoln's portrait is sharp, the fields of the coin are free of distracting marks, and the error itself is perfectly preserved. These coins gleam with luster, and under magnification, their unusual features stand out all the more dramatically. When such specimens hit the auction floor, they command extraordinary premiums. Beyond their physical beauty, the symbolic power of these coins adds to their appeal. Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most revered presidents in American history, a figure who guided the nation through its darkest days. His face on a coin already carries deep cultural weight, but when paired with an error that elevates the coin into rarity, the combination becomes irresistible to collectors. Owning such a piece feels like holding a fragment of history that is both accidental and intentional, a blending of human design and mechanical chance. As years passed, the 1989 D-era coins became some of the most discussed pennies in the collector community. Stories of individuals discovering one in their pocket change or tucked away in an old coin jar spread quickly. These tales, combined with the repeated auction headlines, fueled the dream that anyone might stumble upon a fortune hiding in plain sight. The excitement surrounding these coins continues to inspire treasure hunters to carefully examine every penny that crosses their path. The market has rewarded this enthusiasm generously. Prices for the 1989 D-cent era have soared to levels once thought impossible for a modern penny. In repeated auctions, examples have realized sums ranging from $28,500 to nearly $197,000. That extraordinary range depends on the type of error, the sharpness of the strike, and the condition of the coin. But no matter the specifics, the sheer fact that a coin minted for just 1 cent could achieve such figures is a testament to its power in the world of numismatics. The journey of the 1989 D. Lincoln cent era is a reminder of how extraordinary things can be hidden within the ordinary. Minted in the billions, meant to be spent without thought, and overlooked by nearly everyone, a few of these coins emerged as treasures that would captivate collectors for decades. Their appearances in auctions have cemented their legacy, each sale adding a new chapter to their story, each hammer price reinforcing their status as icons of era coinage. The IT is fascinating to imagine the path these coins have taken. Perhaps one started in someone's pocket, jingling with nickels and dimes, before being saved unknowingly in a jar. Years later, it might have been rediscovered, examined under a magnifying glass, and recognized as something special. From there, it entered an auction catalog, where photographs highlighted its rarity and uniqueness. Then came the auction day, where collectors from across the country, or even around the world, vied to make it theirs. The gavel fell, and the penny was transformed into a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. This cycle repeated itself again and again, each time elevating the coin's legend. The next time you come across a 1989 penny, pause for a moment. Look closely at the mint mark. Is there a D beneath the date? Examine the details. Is there doubling in the lettering? Is Lincoln's profile shifted or unusual in any way? If so, you may be holding a piece of history worth far more than you ever imagined. It could be the key to entering the thrilling world of auctions, where bidders will compete for the chance to own what you found, and where a simple penny could change your life. The 1989 D. Lincoln 1 cent era is proof that treasures are not always grand or obvious. Sometimes they are small, copper-colored, and easily overlooked. But with the right eyes to spot them and the right market to appreciate them, they can rise from obscurity to fame, from pocket change to a prize collectible worth as much as $197,000. In a vast world of coin collecting, there are few things more thrilling than discovering that an ordinary coin in your pocket could be worth a fortune. Every so often, a coin that seems like just another piece of change turns out to have a story so rich and value so extraordinary that it captures the imagination of collectors around the world. That is exactly the case with the 1998 D. United States 1 cent coin, better known as the Lincoln cent, which has stunned collectors with rare errors that transformed it from a simple penny into a remarkable treasure, appearing again and again in auctions with results that astonish even seasoned numismatists. The Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an allegorical figure. The obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, featured the bold, recognizable profile of President Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of unity and resilience after the nation's greatest struggle. For almost a century, the Lincoln penny remained a mainstay of American currency, passing from generation to generation, from grocery counters to classrooms, from piggy banks to collection folders. By 1998, the coin was already deeply woven into the culture of the United States, The obverse of the 1998 D cent displays Lincoln's profile facing right, framed by the inscriptions "In God We Trust" along the top edge, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1998 neatly placed to the right. Just beneath the date rests the Denver Mint's mark, a small d, that indicates the coin's place of origin. This small detail would later carry enormous weight, as the Denver Mint was known for high production numbers and occasional striking anomalies. On the reverse side of the coin is the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a design that had been used since 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial, with its columns carefully rendered and the faint figure of Lincoln visible within, is surrounded by the inscriptions "E pluribus unum" above, United States of America encircling the rim, and the denomination 1 cent at the bottom. To by all appearances, the 1998 D. Lincoln cent was simply another penny, common, utilitarian, and often overlooked. Billions of these coins were minted that year, serving the everyday needs of commerce. But hidden among the ordinary were a handful of extraordinary specimens that bore minting errors. These errors are what transformed the 1998 D cent from a common penny into a coveted rarity. Error coins have always fascinated collectors because they represent a disruption in the perfection of minting. The United States Mint operates with strict precision, yet the sheer scale of production sometimes allows mistakes to slip through. In the case of the 1998 D cent, some coins left the presses with double dies, where inscriptions such as "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear with ghost-like doubling. Others bore off-center strikes, with Lincoln's profile awkwardly shifted from its usual position, leaving blank crescent shapes along the rim. There were also reports of misaligned dies, clipped planchets, and other anomalies that gave each coin a unique and unmistakable personality. Collectors quickly recognized that these errors were not simply flaws, they were treasures. And as word spread, the coins began to surface in auctions. At first, they appeared in smaller sales, where sharp-eyed bidders competed for the chance to own one. Auction catalogs highlighted their rarity, their unusual appearance, and their link to one of the most beloved coins in American history. The descriptions alone were enough to spark bidding wars, with final prices far outstripping what most would ever expect for a penny. Over the years, the 1998 D. Lincoln cent error became a star attraction at repeated auctions. Each time one appeared, the excitement was palpable. Collectors who had missed their chance before eagerly raised their paddles, hoping to finally secure the elusive coin. Auctioneers knew exactly how to build anticipation, describing the sharpness of a strike, the gleaming luster of uncirculated examples, and the dramatic nature of the error. With each sale, the legend of the 1998 D cent grew larger. One of the most striking things about these coins is their condition. While circulated examples have certainly been found, the most valuable are those that survived in near-perfect mint state. Under magnification, every detail of Lincoln's portrait is crisp, every column of the memorial sharply defined, and the error that makes the coin unique is perfectly preserved. In these pristine states, the coins become not just currency, but works of art, accidental masterpieces created by chance at the Denver Mint. The cultural symbolism of Lincoln adds even more power to the story. Abraham Lincoln is remembered as the great emancipator, the president who preserved the Union during the Civil War. To see his likeness on a coin that embodies rarity and resilience only heightens the appeal for collectors. Each error penny becomes not just a mistake of machinery, but a connection to the enduring legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. As more and more collectors sought these coins, their appearances in auctions became highly anticipated events. Sometimes they were sold as individual highlights, drawing bids that far exceeded expectations. Other times they appeared as part of larger collections, yet still managed to steal the spotlight. And every time the gavel fell, the prices seemed to climb higher, setting new benchmarks and inspiring even more collectors to search for their own examples. The repeated presence of the 1998 D. Lincoln cent error in auctions has cemented its reputation as one of the most desirable modern pennies. Stories abound of collectors who stumbled upon one in change, only to later discover its immense value. The thrill of such a discovery continues to fuel interest, with many checking their old coin jars and pocket change in hopes of finding that one special penny. But the question everyone wants to know is this: just how much is one of these coins worth today? The answer is both exciting and astonishing. Depending on the type of error, the grade of the coin, and the intensity of competition at auction, The 1998 D1 cent error coin has repeatedly sold for prices ranging from $17,500 to an incredible $171,000. That means a coin originally worth just a single cent has achieved values that rival fine art or luxury cars. All because of its rarity, its story, and the passion of collectors who refuse to let it slip through their fingers. It is nothing short of remarkable to think about the journey of this coin. Born from the presses of the Denver Mint in 1998, intended to be just another penny in an ocean of billions, it somehow emerged with an error that turned it into a legend. From the hands of unsuspecting spenders to the spotlight of repeated auctions, it has traveled far and captured the imagination of everyone who learns its story. The next time you come across a penny, take a moment to really look at it. Check the date, examine the details, and study the mint mark. You never know when you might be holding a 1998 D Lincoln cent error coin worth not just a single cent, but as much as $171,000. And if you are ever lucky enough to find one, remember this: its story does not end in your hand. The auction floor may be its next stage, where bidders will fight to make it theirs, and where its value will once again be proven before the fall of the gavel. The 1998 D1 cent coin is a perfect example of how history, error, and passion combine to create extraordinary treasures from the ordinary. It reminds us that even in the smallest, most overlooked places, like the bottom of a change jar, greatness can be hiding, waiting to be discovered, celebrated, and auctioned again and again.